This is my new series Ring IQ, where along with some of the world's best fighters, I'm going to be breaking down the sweet science, its history, its detail, and what makes these legendary fighters so special. I'm Dan Morley, a professional boxer, and I create content on all eras of this incredible sport and its stacked history. I just want to give a shout out to my sponsor, Kyestu Sports, boxing heritage with modern design. Kyestu are producing a load of new boxing equipment and boxing clothing. Make sure to check the website out via the link in the bio. Today we're at the Epsom Boxing Academy and I'm going to be breaking down some of history's greatest ever knockouts, but more so those subtle little details that set up the finishing blow. So we're going to start off with a monster right hand from the Mexican superstar Canelo Alvarez. Now this one was actually the knockout of the year for 2015 via the Ring magazine. But the right hand is just the delivery. It's got such a subtle setup. So the actual sequence of the knockout lasts around 5 to 10 seconds rather than just the shot. So Canelo's at distance and he throws what we call a rangefinder jab. It's here, boom! He's not in a position to capitalize anything from this reaction. All he's doing is sensing the reaction. But what he can see is that Khan has bitten and exposed this side of his chin. Typically when you block the jab, you're going to block with the other side, just not to make this right hand a possibility, okay? But Khan has done this and he's exposed his chin. So Canelo's picked that up, they go back to normal, and the next time, instead of throwing the jab, he does what we call a feint. Keeps the hand here, a little feint like this. But instead of just trying to spark a reaction, he knows the reaction he's going to get. So he feints, but most importantly, the feint distracts Khan from his feet. He feints and gets his feet in, triggers a reaction, bang! Lands the right hand. Khan doesn't see it coming, that's what does the damage. So the whole sequence here is this rangefinder jab. He reads, sees the reaction, a little feint, pop, boom! Gets all the body weight through because the foot is in position. That is the most important thing. Twists his hips through, lands a devastating knockout. Number 2 is one of my favourite knockouts of all time from my favourite fighter of all time. Gennady Golovkin's brutal body shot against Macklin. This was a complete rib breaker that took the fight out of Macklin instantly. The thing that made Golovkin so good was his footwork. He would get you exactly where he wanted you. And this was only 3 rounds, this fight, but it was a footwork masterclass from Golovkin, a masterclass of cutting off the ring. So he wants Macklin, an aggressive fighter who's not necessarily used to fighting on the back foot. He wants him on the back foot. So as Macklin moves back, Golovkin's just always out of range. As Macklin tries to escape, Golovkin intercepts where he's going to go, but just stays marginally out of range. So whilst Macklin throws the right hand, Golovkin can just get out and come back in. If Macklin's going to go that way, Golovkin's going to intercept where he goes. If he goes that way, he's going to do the same. Cut off. What you don't want to do when you're cutting off the ring, and what Golovkin was a master at, is give the escape. So if Macklin's moving this way, you don't want to follow. You need to cut off where you're going to go. And that's one of the keys to this knockout. He has Macklin here. Macklin is pressed up against the ropes. Macklin escapes over here. Golovkin presses him here and he pounces for the finish. Now, he wants to land this left hook to the body, this left hook to the liver, but you're not going to do that without setting him up. So Golovkin is here when the shot starts. He throws a little throwaway shot. It's an uppercut. He throws it here with no power and the foot gets here. What that also does is puts his weight on this left foot to generate the power. So he goes boom, boom, boom. Drives it in. And it's a complete rib breaker. Now my last fight, I tried to replicate the shot as much as I could. And it worked. All these shots are is foot placement and setting up and disguising. If you don't see these shots coming, they are absolute sickeners. So we'll do it one more time. We've got Craig over here. He's against the ropes. He's right under pressure. Golovkin senses the finish. He goes boom, gets his foot in position, boom. And Macklin drops very quickly. Moving on to Argentinian middleweight world champion Sergio Martinez. He is fighting a fellow southpaw, a tall southpaw in Paul Williams, who is usually extremely formidable. This is their second fight. The first one went 12 rounds, where Williams controversially won a classic on points. But Martinez sets him up for one of the most devastating left-hand finishes of the entire 2010s. So Williams is the taller fighter. Martinez makes himself a low target. Now both of these guys are fighting with a low stance. Martinez more so, but Williams is a little bit defensively lackluster here in this occasion, okay? So he starts off with his hands up. Martinez has his hands low. He throws this double jab that backs Martinez out of range. Martinez is backing up. He has his left hand here, but his right hand here, giving his chin as the target. Now what Williams does here is, instead of cutting Martinez off, he follows him, going into the path of the right hand. Martinez creates a few angles, keeps his eye on Williams, and he lets that left hand go. Williams drops his right, and Martinez takes his head off the center line, which Williams doesn't. Williams coming forward, puts all his weight through the shot, and it just makes it such a devastating knockout punch. So Williams, with his high guard double jabs, pushes Martinez on the back foot. Martinez is here. Williams follows him, goes for the left, boom. Hits the shoulder because he takes his foot off the center line, his head off the center line, I should say, and Williams walks right into it. So next up, we are covering greatness. The greatest boxer of all time, Sugar Ray Robinson, throwing what many deem the greatest left hook ever thrown against the legendary tough man, Gene Fullmer. Gene Fullmer had already beaten Robinson over 15 rounds to win the middleweight title. He was a bigger, stronger middleweight, but Robinson outwitted him with speed and ring IQ. Now, Fullmer used to fight with this really weird sort of cross stance here. So you can see initially when Robinson throws the first shot to the body, it's this awkward looping, almost kidney shot with the right hand. It comes at this long angle. It's a boom as Fullmer pushes him back. Fullmer sees that. He keeps the pressure, but adopts this guard here now to get his elbows in to block that shot. But what this is doing is leaving him open here. Robinson picks up on this and throws this one more time. It's this wide angle. Boom. Backs up. Typically, you don't tend to get knockouts on the back foot. So Fullmer pushes forward with all of his pressure. Robinson changes the rhythm up and just a tiny boom. No fat on the left hook at all. It's the rhythm change of this and the different angle of the shot and being on the back foot that makes this such a surprising knockout and one of the greatest knockouts of all time. If this had any fat on the shot, it wouldn't have that same impact because Fullmer would see it coming. But it's the blindness of the shot and the quick twist of his entire body through that scores the knockout. So you've got this first shot here that gets Fullmer to do this. He does it again. Boom. Just changes the rhythm up completely. It's such a quick shot on that back foot and it has devastating effects. Now we are covering what many deem the greatest knockout of all time, one of boxing's biggest sliding doors moments. Rocky Marciano knocking out Jersey Joe Walcott in the 13th round for the heavyweight title. Now this was Rocky's first bid for heavyweight glory, something that would immortalise him as the only undefeated heavyweight champion in history. He was fighting Jersey Joe Walcott, and Jersey Joe Walcott had actually dropped him early on in this fight, and going into the 13th round had a lead on the scorecards. He desperately needed the knockout, but he maintained his pressure and never gave up hope in true Rocky fashion. So, this is round 13. Rocky had this really awkward style. Now, people don't really know Rocky for his defense, but he would put his weight on the back foot, almost over-exaggeratingly. And he would be able to spring this right hand. They used to call it the Susie Q. But being here made him so much more tricky to hit. If you throw the right hand from here, you see, it's not going to land. I mean, if you're on the front foot, it lands easily. But Rocky used to be here. So he's constantly pressuring Jersey Joe Walcott whilst loading the weight on his back leg and being at this weird range. Jersey Joe Walcott was a slick fighter, so he had his hands low, used to rely on shoulder rolls, distance control. Okay, so Rocky would have known that. Rocky's here, he's pressuring him. Jersey Joe Walcott's bouncing on the back foot. Rocky's feinting that left hand. And then as Jersey Joe Walcott gets against the ropes, Rocky lets the feint go. And Jersey Joe Walcott bites. So it's here, he goes to throw the right hand, and he loses. Right, so Rocky's pushing him on the back foot. He's got his weight loaded to spring. Jersey Joe Walcott's bouncing back. He's here, constantly letting the left hand go. Jersey Joe's against the ropes. Feint, bang. Jersey Joe Walcott goes down. Boom. One for good measure and good night. And Rocky immortalises himself as the only heavyweight champion to retire with a 100% win ratio. Now we are moving on to the knockout of the decade and probably the knockout of the 21st century so far. Juan Manuel Marquez finally nailing Manny Pacquiao in their fourth fight. Now his right hand had already got to Pacquiao in this fight, he'd already dropped him, but Pacquiao responded by dropping Marquez and was on top going into the sixth round. This was right on the bell at the end of round 6, when Marquez finally timed that right hand to perfection. So Manny is in southpaw, Marquez is in orthodox, which is a really important factor with this one. So Manny, most people when they analyse this knockout say Manny just charges forward, but there's a really subtle detail that you need to take into account with this one. So Manny sort of got his hands low, he's doing this bouncing thing. Now before Manny ever charged into a shot, he would throw a feint, okay? That's what threw so many people off. But Marquez was so used to fighting Pacquiao that he knew when the feints were coming now and he didn't bite. So Marquez is right on the back foot at this point in the fight, both metaphorically and physically. He's being backed up here, Pacquiao's charging forward. He's got that Nacho Berestein high guard, and Pacquiao is going to throw a little feint before he goes, but it's instant. So he goes boom, and he does it again. Marquez takes his left foot outside and just nails Pacquiao coming all the way through. And the body weight through the shot makes it so brutal. So the key to this knockout is Pacquiao does his original feint, but Marquez doesn't bite, follows up, and he times him. It is not biting to that first feint that has scored Marquez this knockout. Usually, when Pacquiao does those feints, a fighter will shell up and it will throw off their rhythm. Marquez was so used to him by this point that he knew exactly how to time him. Modern day knockout artist Naoya Inoue has blasted his way through 5 weight divisions, winning titles in 4. But his most impressive victory to date is against Stephen Fulton, who has actually gone on to win world titles since. He was setting Fulton up for this right hand the entire fight. So both fighters in this instance are fighting with a sort of Philly shell guard. They both adopted high guards and Philly shells in different instances of this fight. But throughout the entire duration of the fight, no matter what guard both men had, Inoue was stabbing this jab into the body here. He just kept doing it, jabbing and getting out of range, jabbing and getting out of range. So if Fulton was there, he would block it here or here. It would just absorb in his gut. Just a nasty shot that just takes the energy out of you. But it was a tactic, it was a ploy to set up the right hand. So just before he lets it go, before he lands it, the cleanest shot of the fight in round 8, he's in the Philly shell here, okay? He's actually looking Fulton in the eyes to sort of trick him into not knowing what shot's coming. Fulton's around here, he goes boom, boom, and follows it up instantly with the right hand. Fulton goes here and he finishes off with the left hook. But it's just such a well set up shot. And this is a prime example of patience over a fight. Just trick your opponent into the trap over and over and over again. Stab that jab into the body to set the right hand up. So as we go through it again, he's here, he's looking Fulton in the eyes. He gets his foot in, similarly to Canelo versus Khan. He gets his foot in, boom, and then follows up with the left hook. But Fulton actually got up from this one, but Inoue instantly swarmed him and finished the job in the 8th round, becoming a 4-division world champion. And those are my recreations of some of history's best knockouts. If you like this kind of content, let me know in the comment section below. And if you want me to do more of these knockouts, let me know which knockouts you'd like to see. A big shout out to my friend and client, Craig Power. I've been teaching Craig to box for a while. He's a comedian building his own channel, so make sure you check him out. And thank you. Make sure to like, subscribe, and share.